So I want to talk about the research functionality that's built into 80/20 Brain. Now, you don't have to use any of this, of course, and you can add to this, or you can replace it, or you can just build on top of it, or use it as it is, entirely up to you. So the way that I've set it up for you and the way I use it is within the research folder. So that's in the root of the brain. Within the research folder, I have two folders that I share with you, and then I've actually got a few others which I'll talk about as we go in case you want to copy some ideas. But the main two are newsletters and YouTube. Newsletters are email newsletters that are captured from my Gmail inbox. So I tag each newsletter with a particular label. So then every day the brain checks for new emails with those labels. It's not checking all of my emails. So there's a lot less risk about things like prompt injection and so on. It's not reading all of the emails. It's just reading these emails from trusted sources. And I know there are potential security concerns there. I've got some systems in place. I'm not obviously going to describe all of those in great detail here, but I've got some systems in place to protect against all but the most serious attacks, shall we say. And so whenever there's a new email newsletter from, say, Ethan Mollick, Simon W., Sam Tomlinson, who I love every Sunday, but man, Sam writes some really long emails, and they used to sit in my inbox for a week or so until the next one would come in. Oh, I've got to do something with this. And I would sort of have this cognitive overload of, I need to get to that. I need to read it. And why do we read stuff? It's a bit like the books I was talking about before when we were talking about the expert council. You read this stuff because it's kind of just in case learning. You're reading it thinking, I need to absorb this knowledge just in case I have a similar business problem at some point in the future, in the hope that I can remember this great knowledge that was imparted to me from Sam here. And often we know we're not going to remember it, but we'll archive that in Gmail. And so when something comes up, oh, pricing, what does Sam think about pricing? I can go back and search those emails and then go read the relevant newsletters again. So now I'm double handling and it's taking even more time. With YouTube, I've got a bunch of YouTube channels that I subscribe to. And I used to spend, probably of the order of 5 to 10 hours a week keeping up with all of that, watching, consuming all of that on double speed mostly. Again, just context, right? Filling the brain, getting more context in, more content in, because that has helped me a great deal over the years. The 1,000 books over there and all of this stuff, it all goes in and it just mostly seems to get synthesized, and most of it seems to come out at the right time when I'm working with a business or consulting or something like that. But again, it's kind of just in case learning. There are some great channels. There are some amazing stuff available on YouTube. And the stuff I'm talking about here is usually, it's not the entertaining stuff. If I want a great story, I'll listen to a podcast by Michael Lewis and his fantastic Against the Rules podcast. It's absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend it. Or the Acquired guys, or Business History, some of the Pushkin stuff. This tends to be stuff more around how-to stuff that I'm trying to learn from. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Trying to learn from that, again, filling the brain with stuff so that I can then use that knowledge eventually. And so what happens every day when this new stuff comes in, it immediately gets summarized. So rather than have to feed the brain these huge, big transcript files, which can get absolutely huge, immediately I boil that down to a paragraph. And so in each of these ideas files, I have a paragraph of each of Ethan Mollick's email newsletters going back, I think, 2 years. Same with Sam, a paragraph going back 2 years for all of his. Again, freely available stuff though. I want to stress that here. I'm not putting any paid content into here inside the brain that you as a member get. This is only freely available stuff. But I'm summarizing all of that and putting that in. I also then have an index file, which is essentially a list of each video, the date, the YouTube ID, so that I can easily find it again, and then the title of that, because that's sort of gives me sort of a quick overview as to which file or transcript I might want to dig deeper into. And so when we run the research skill, which again is just another skill, right? It's a collection of instructions, maybe some code, some examples, and so on. And you are more than welcome to tweak, change, adjust that to be whatever you want. I'll tell you one big way you could improve it in a minute. So that I can then pull up this skill and say, hey, of all the experts that I follow, which is newsletters, research, and anything else that's in their articles, blog posts, books, and so on. I don't do many books, but a few I've got in there. It will then go and do a quick sort of fuzzy match, roughly a keyword search through all of that. Read the index snippets first, find relevant entries, decide, is this going to be useful? Probably yes. Okay, go grab the full transcript, pull it in. This one, yeah, not so much. Don't worry. Only grab the full transcripts if it needs it, and then it dives into those, reads those, pulls out any insights, and then comes back to me with an answer to my original question. Super, super useful to do this. The way you could improve that, by the way, is to bolt on something called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, which is whereby you're not doing that sort of more keyword search. You're more searching for the idea. So it's more of a semantic search. There are pros and cons to that approach, which is why I haven't built it out fully. I don't actually use the research search skill as much as I thought I was going to. I will tend to, well, maybe actually it's using it in the background, but I will tend to say, hey, what does Sam think about pricing? Or I'll add Sam to the expert council and use that knowledge in that way. So those transcripts definitely went into the creation of the personas of the council members that I then use. So it all helps, but then this is just another option available to me if I want to use this approach. There's another way of doing it, which is using deep research. I have a deep research skill that uses OpenAI and Perplexity and Google and Claude, and wanders off in 4 different directions, sometimes for 20 minutes, does a whole bunch of deep research, brings all of that back and synthesizes it, and then gives me the answer. So I've got multiple ways of going from quick idea into let's research the market. Let's find out about this thing. And it grows with you. This knowledge base grows because my skills here are running every single day. The newsletters and the YouTube ones that are in the config file, essentially the YouTube channels I subscribe to, think of it that way, they're all being pulled automatically every day. But whenever I find an interesting video, I can just go /YouTube space and paste in the URL of that video, and it knows what to do with that. It knows, hey, I need to check. No, this isn't a channel that's on the list, so therefore I save it into the other folder. I have a folder called other, and I'm also going to create 15 bullet points on this video to show Mike straight away. I'm also going to say how I think this video applies to the current projects that you have going, how it applies to Brain, how members might be able to use this, and if the Brain thinks it's worth me watching the whole thing. All of that happens by me typing /YouTube and chucking it a URL, because those are the steps I want it to follow the same way every time. That's the beauty of these skills. Again, automation mixed with the ability to reason and think. So got my newsletter skill, got my YouTube thing happening. I can also obviously manually save. If I find a good article, I can drop that in there as well. And it starts off slow. It's just a collection of articles. Very soon it's hundreds. I think I'm well over 1,000 at this point. And now I have this incredibly useful searchable knowledge base that, if you subscribe to Sam's wonderful email newsletter today, it starts from today. You don't get the last 2 years of emails, although I'm sure if you asked him nicely, he'd probably send those to you. But I have them where I'm doing more and more of my work inside the brain. That's where I'm asking expert counsel questions. Of course, I can drop those files into the expert counsel as well when I kick off a session and have them discuss a particular piece, attack it from all angles, mix it and match it with a project that I've got going on. It's just more and more grist for the mill, more and more interesting stuff in the brain. In the next one, no code required, under my head there, let's talk about the just a simple way to use the brain, which is analyzing data, but not in the way that you might be expecting. I'll see you there. Bye for now.